of illegal alien activity, with all the work the Border Patrol does on the border, what goes through your mind?
Well, thank God it's about time. And I've got sources inside the administration we're talking to that say this is just the beginning. There's going to be many more. So that is a breath of fresh air for the American people. These are the guys that have been aiding and abetting. And think about this, Grant. These are the judges that were dismissing without prejudice all of the immigration cases, over 1 million in 1 year. They dismissed these illegal aliens basically to let them go into our country scot-free and eventually get citizenship. The biggest question I have is to find out how many of them not just are harboring, not just are protecting. They think that they're going to get away with it. They think they might get a slap on the wrist. But how many of them are directly tied to the cartels or tied to some other foreign entity that's been paying them? That's where we really need to send the investigations. And I really hope Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the rest of them are doing that. I have no doubt, again, in hearing some of what I'm hearing in the back channels, that more is coming. And again, just speaking on behalf of the American people, it's about time.
I mean, when you look at the associations with this violent Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and this person that they harbored in their home, he was showing signs through clothing, we were told, tattoos. There was evidence through voice messages and text messages of his association to TDA. So what charges will Cano and his wife face, if any?
So Judge Cano, soon to be former Judge Cano, got his charges were just unsealed. He's charged with obstruction. He admitted post Miranda. He took one of the TDA members' cell phones himself, took it, beat it with a hammer, destroyed it, and then walked the pieces to a city dumpster to dispose of it to protect him. The wife also is charged with destroying evidence. Sandra, not only that, this TDA member, and he had on a necklace that said kill, something about death. He had tattoos all over him. He also had on his cell phone pictures of 2 decapitated victims, victims, decapitated, gruesome photos. And he was sending them out, and whoever he was sending them to was sending back saying, hey, you need to be careful. You shouldn't be sending these. You shouldn't be texting these photos out. Not only that, these two, the judge and his wife, gave him assault rifles that belonged to their daughter. That's what they're charged with. In the criminal report affidavit, he goes to a shooting range with these assault rifles, with a suppressor, with other known TDA members, and they're shooting. This is the last person that we want in our country, nor will we ever tolerate a judge or anyone else harboring them.
It's an embarrassment. Let me just respond to something you said, go ahead. Which is that you said, well, you got to worry about the impact on the community.
Yes.
The president and the Justice Department and his people have to worry about the impact of illegal immigration on the country, because nobody's been worried about that for years. And the reason this is important is because this is one of Donald Trump's biggest criminal justice priorities, and frankly, it's one of the American people's biggest priorities to control this. And you know well, there are people all over towns, all over this country, who have been working overtime to try to stop him from executing on this agenda. If she turns out to be one of them, a spectacle is warranted so other people will stop doing it.
I appreciate it.
Let me tell you what offends me.
Yeah,
is that there are people and one political party in this country dedicated to re-importing illegal aliens hand over fist, and it is outrageous.
I doubt it'll get to the Supreme Court because I think the law is so clear. The states argue, the sanctuary states argue, they don't have to affirmatively assist us, the feds, in getting hold of these illegal aliens. But this isn't a question of assisting. This is actually interfering with, of harboring, of getting in the way. And so I don't think there's any question about this, and I think it's time for zero tolerance and getting back to basics, which are that judges and state officials are still citizens, they're subject to the federal law, and they cannot interfere in or impede the federal function. So I'm 100% in agreement with what's done.
Well, of course, you know how the media is going to play it, and of course the Democrats already have begun. The protests have begun, suggesting that this is Trump again being the imperial president who's a dictator now and ignoring the courts. Do you think any courts will pick up on that? Any courts to which these cases might be appealed?
Yeah, I mean, some state courts, there's some very liberal state courts, they may try to go down that path, but at the end of the day, they'll be slapped down because these judges do not have the right to interfere with the federal government performing its function.
Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell. Things are beginning to happen. Not as fast as I want, but they're starting to happen. And Scott Jennings is correct. That illegal alien, the judge that helped illegal alien escape, the woman that looks like a dude. I mean, can we just be honest? Can we just now begin to see? I mean, the veil was taken off my eyes about a year ago. I began to look at the politicians' wives and these people and their dudes. They're dudes. That judge is a dude. But Scott Jennings is correct that a spectacle needs to be made. That fat wildebeest dude in a black robe needed to be put in handcuffs and thrown in the back of a vehicle. He, she, they, that are criminals. And this is what I always love. I arrested an activist once, right? Tough guy, like all activists are. Tough guy. And I know the jailers at the MCC, the Federal Correction. And this guy would constantly talk about and protest the rights of illegal aliens put in prison. And guess where he ended up? In the same yard, in the same cell as all of the savages that he wanted to protect. And you know what they told me they did? They said, just make sure that Agent Carrell knows this is happening. We put him in jail and he hasn't stopped crying. Hasn't stopped crying. Why? Because the savages are going to eat the weak. And they hate you. They actually hate you more than they hate me. At least I have some morals and values. When that judge goes into prison and gets sentenced, she'll plead out. He, she, they, that will plead out. But let's say if she did go to prison, he will be scared to death and will be crying every single night of her or his sins. There is so much happening and yet so much not happening. You are seeing Tom Homan now giving press briefings in the White House and just laying it out. If you impede, we're going to arrest. The TDA gang member that was housed by a federal judge. I told my wife when it first came out, I said, there is something sexual about this. Something is not right. And I dismissed it. I dismissed it because I instinctively was like, nah, that's crazy. And I always know to go off of my gut. And now I can't find a picture that seems to be scrubbed off the internet. And it's a picture of the judge with his arm around the TDA member. And the judge is wearing a business shirt with, you can't tell if he's wearing underwear or he's naked, and just his bare legs. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, go off. Never stop questioning yourself, JJ. When your gut says something's not right, and you begin to materialize it and say, this is what's going on, go off of your gut until you prove yourself wrong, instead of just dismissing yourself as wrong because it's absurd, right? I dismiss it because it's so absurd, so irrational. And that should be my trigger, if you will, that I need to look deeper because we live in such an irrational world, such a upside down Twilight Zone world. Why would a judge harbor a TDA member and then you're going to tell me the TDA members' homies are not going to show up? Of course they are. But if you think that this is an anomaly, you're a fool. We have been dealing with judges like this for decades, especially in sanctuary cities. for decades. The left has become the party of transgenders, child mutilation, abortion murders up to the 9th month, Epstein Island, pedophilia, illegal alien open borders, and hiding illegal aliens. So much so that they fly down to foreign nations and demand their presidents release their citizens to these morons in order to bring gang member terrorists back into America. Let me show you a video of what happened this past weekend to give you an understanding of how evil the Democrats are and what we are now having to do to rectify this. This is a video of Colorado Springs, Colorado. It is a underground nightclub. When I mean underground, I mean kind of like hidden, like strip mall. It looks like a strip mall, so they're doing nightclub. And it's a known MS-13 TDA gang member, illegal alien gang member establishment. How do we know? How did ICE find out about this? Because over 120 tips were sent into the Biden ICE office, and they were never allowed to go do anything about it. 120. Your government knew that violent gang members in Colorado, where they're infested with them, were told where they are, and ICE was told not to do anything. Trump's ICE took down this nightclub and arrested, I believe, 120 MS-13 TDA illegal alien gang members. Watch this.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is...
Was that, honestly, that's something you would see in Mexico. A nightclub in Acapulco was hit. A nightclub in Juarez or downtown Tijuana on Revolution Avenue was hit. No, that was in America. That was in America. Again, do you think that's the only nightclub run by these gangsters where it was drugs and prostitution? Everything else was being run out of there. In plain sight. In plain sight. Everybody knows it. What else does Colorado have going for it? Well, Colorado's governor, Jolis, I think it's Jolis, is doing summer sex camps this coming months. Summer sex camps for minors. I just got done doing a vault take today, and I'm going to say something that I stated in it, and I believe it. I've been saying this for a long time. I don't believe that there is enough time, energy, or determination to eradicate our nation of the evil that is there. Meaning, there's too many Americans that want this sexual perversion, want this destruction of our sovereignty, want the destruction of our law and order. And then I don't believe we have enough people in the government, in our ranks, on our side, to take our country back in enough time. Because there's no way the Democrats are going to allow another honest election to happen. It's not going to happen. And the only way this is going to happen, and I don't know if this will happen in my lifetime or not. I used to think it would never happen in my lifetime. Then Obama came in and he accelerated this into the future by, I think, 80 years, 75 years. And that is a violent revolution. I don't want that, because I know when the violent revolution begins, America's over. Whatever America was will cease to exist, and what will come out of that rubble will be a new America. And I don't know what that new America would be. But there seems to be an incredible sense that the division in America, the sides that are so adamantly opposed to each other, so disgusted by each other, that it's all coming to a head. You can feel it. It's going to happen. Our side is not violent. The left is violent. However, our side is reactionary. And our side knows what gender we are. Our side has all the weapons, all the training. And when you push us on our side to the wall and we're forced to fight, history has shown that when we come out to fight, it will be a scorched earth. Meaning we're not going to come out and hit you once or twice and ask you to stand down. It's going to be, we're going to go through you, over you, and we're going to kill everything in our wake until we see you running out. And even then, we might just get on our horses and chase you down. History's proven this. I've talked about this meme before, and it was like it's one of those memes. It was kind of like a saying, basically, not even just a meme. It was like a story, a quick, small story. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. I read this. Time kind of flies on me now, but I want to say this is at least a year ago. And I saw it, and I'm gonna repeat it again because it's so it's such an example of what's happening today. And the story goes like this. There's a man on his porch. He's worked his ass off his whole entire life for this house, his beautiful porch, his rocking chair, his land. And people keep coming up and prodding him, calling him names, trying to fight. And he keeps telling them, please leave me alone. I love my life. My family's here. My rocking chair. I've worked so hard. Please let me live my life. No. All these vile names. All of these attacks. And the man's watching from his porch, his community begin to burn. Change. Sexual deviance. Violent predators begin to dominate. And this man is forced off his porch. And as he's walking into the battle, he feels rage, resentment, and anger that he has never felt before. And he feels those things because he knows what he must do will forever change him. And there's no going back to that beautiful, quaint life with his family, him sitting on his porch, watching his children or grandchildren play. Those days are gone. That life is dead. And that anger from that murder of his life fuels him and causes him and forces him to do things that he didn't even know he had the ability to do. War atrocities happen because they're built into us humans. And we get to the point where we're at our wits' end and we feel as if we have nothing to lose because you stole it all from us. And that will cause men to do things that are beyond comprehension. And I'm warning you, the left. Maybe it's not my generation. Maybe it happens when I'm too old. Or maybe it happens when I die. But you're going to push and you're going to push and you're going to push and you're going to force these men off of their porches. And we are going to come into that war. And you're wearing your dress and your high heels, or you're reading your poetry, or you got your stupid banners and flags waving, and we're going to mow you down. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be swift. And it's going to be a type of violence that you can't even fathom. It's going to be violence that I can't even fathom that I have inside of me. Why do I know that this will happen? Because it's historic. It always happens like this. We just live in a country where the vast majority of school students cannot read or write at the proficient level. They have no idea that we're a republic. So for us to expect our populace to understand anything that's happened in history is absurd. Our children don't even know what sex they are. How can they know about the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Ottomans, the Third Reich? How could they know anything about anything? They will find out soon enough. And my prayer is this country gets put back on the right track and has enough time to recover. I just don't know if we do. One of our sponsors that keeps us on the air so that I can speak this way, openly and honestly, and be on the platform of Worldview Tube is Bella Grace. Shop bellagrace.com/truth. Shop bellagrace.com/truth. And we have a commercial that I love, this young lady that has done the commercials for us in Bella Grace.
Elevate your skin's natural radiance with the Bella Grace Dewy Serum, your go-to for smooth, hydrating, and glowy skin. Infused with nourishing ingredients, it provides deep hydration, a soft texture, and a luminous, dewy finish. Like, come on, look at that. Whether you're at home, on the go, or heading to practice like me, Bella Grace Dewy Serum fits seamlessly into your daily routine. Glow from within all day long. Bella Grace Dewy Serum. To get your hands on this product, go to www.shopbellagrace.com/truth.
Shopbellagrace.com/truth. This past weekend, I went to my son's track meet. Awesome. My son's real good. He's fast and he's powerful. And he's getting muscular. So I love just going anything and supporting my son. And where my wife and I like to sit, we don't really like to, because we have to kind of move. My son does some, like the 100, 600, 200, and then he does long jump. So you got to kind of move, right? And you can't see certain events from a certain area. So we like to just kind of hang out. Instead of in the stands, we like to sit on the fence line. And I'll try to get myself positioned at the finish line. And then I can look down the long lanes, right, and watch my son run. And I can see, it's just a great bird's eye view. And I love it being there. And one thing that I do is track meets are kind of long, right? So you have to go through all the grades. So there must have been, easily 300 girls, 300 boys from like 5th to 8th grade, right? That 11, 12 to 14 age. And to see those boys, they're trying so hard, right? They're competing so hard. And then I watch the girls, because you have to watch the girls go first and then the boys, and then we go to the 6th grade girls and then we go through all the girls, and then we come back and do the boys, and then we go to another event. So I'm there watching the young girls, young ladies, and they're running so hard, and they're doing the long jump with everything they have, and they're just competing. Like, they're just ferociously competing. And you can see, like I said, I'm at the end, I'm at the finish line. And when they finish, they're exhausted, right? From running either a mile or maybe the 400 or the 200. And they've just been sprinting all out, giving it their all. And they're so excited. and then they're congratulating each other, and their friends are jumping around and they're high-fiving them, or if there's a relay team, they're all excited because they did something as a team together. And as I'm watching, I'm thinking, how could anybody allow men to get into that sport and take those accomplishments away from those young girls? Who would allow that to happen? Who would allow one of those 5th through 8th grade boys that finishes last say, I identify as a girl, and put that boy in the girl heats? And that boy wins and takes the glory, takes the accomplishment away from that young lady or young ladies. How could anybody think that's fair? If I went to those 300 boys and said, does anybody want to run in the girls' events? You know what they would do? They would mock me as young teenagers. They'd go, what are you crazy? Why would I want to run with girls? Only somebody that has a very, very deep mental problem would want to do that. And only a very sycophant, mentally disturbed, morally bankrupt parent would allow their child to do that. And even as worse as those people are the rational, moral people that sit on the sideline and allow males to dominate female sports and ruin it for their daughters. I have 4 sisters. All of them played D1 basketball or small college basketball and volleyball. And I watched them in high school and play in college. And they just, the accomplishment of playing sports and thriving in it, and then being able to go to college free on scholarship and play in front of thousands of people and enjoy that. That has carried those young women, my sisters, into motherhood, marriage, and professions, and they've been able to pull back on those moments of adversity and fall back on their moments of failure in sports, as well as accomplishments and successes, and use that as building blocks to their lives. Just as male athletes look back and go, yeah, you remember those summers of 2-a-days and 3-a-days in high school football and college, or just even high school. But man, wasn't that great? I did it. Okay, I'm going through something tough now. I can go through this. I've proven that I've been able to overcome obstacles in my life. Look at what I've done. Look at my accomplishments or failures, but I was fighting. I can keep fighting today. What if I strip that all from you? And then in replacement of that, you have feelings of, instead of accomplishment and strength from overcoming, I replace that with resentment, anger. Remove your accomplishments, and I give it because I gave those to men. Listen to this young lady. I think this is in San Diego. I could be wrong. She's talking about CIF. So, yeah.
My name is Taylor Starling. I'm 16 years old, and I attend Martin Luther King High School. I have a 4.0 GPA, serve as vice president of my junior class, and volunteer with National Women's Charity League, and lead as captain of my school's cross-country and track and field teams. I was removed from my varsity girls team and replaced by a newly eligible male transfer student who received favorable treatment. I worked every day during summer with my team and into the school year 6 days a week, waking up at 5 a.m. to attend morning practices and staying at school until 4:45 each day. My goal was to attain a varsity spot on my school's Division I CIF team. Not an easy feat, but one I accomplished. Since the start of the season in August, I ran in every varsity race. In late October, the male transfer student was given my spot after not being held to the same strict team requirements as me and the rest of the girls. He did not have to attend practice while my team and I were running 7 miles a day together. After having my spot taken away from me that I earned, I missed out on running with my varsity team in one of the top cross-country invitationals of the season. As a result of this unfair treatment, my teammate Caitlin and I wore shirts that said "Save Girls Sports" and stated that boys and girls are different. It's common sense. XX does not equal XY. This is not hateful or unkind. This is reality. However, our athletic director made me remove my shirt and told me it was like wearing a swastika in front of a Jewish person, and said that I would face disciplinary action if I wore it again. My Title IX and free speech rights as a female matter too. Why are girls being told that we must sit down and be quiet while boys unfairly get ahead of us in life? Why do boys not have to attend practice and make the sacrifices that us girls make in order to be scholar athletes? Just because those boys believe they are transgender. Girls matter too. Please protect us. Thank you.
I'll tell you why, young lady. Because the people that are supposed to be in charge, the older people, the people that are supposed to have some wisdom or some sense of morality, have none. We live in a fallen world. We live in a world of sexual perversion, and we live in a world that is unjust. That's the truth, young lady. And we have failed you. You have not failed. You have not failed at all, ma'am. We failed you. Every last one of us has failed you. So you just took, just as I lined that up, you just stole, they stole from that young lady the experience of being on varsity track with her friends, creating lasting memories that will carry her all the way through to her death. Memories that she will cherish. Memories that will fuel her in dark times in her life as we all go through them. And we all try to find some anchor that could secure us through the rough seas. No, we're taking that from you. And let me just show you what a dude in drag running track looks like up close. Just show this picture for me, please, Logan. So she's competing against athletes that look like this. This would be a dude. Now let's go back to me at my son's track meet on Saturday. If my son came to me and said, "Dad, it's hard. I'm trying to win, but I keep ending up, fourth. I can't even get in the top 3. Sometimes I'm 10th. Dad, I'm a girl, and I'm going to go run in the girls' race." I would yank my son up and throw his ass in the car and go home. And then we would have a very long talk, and then if he still thought he was a girl, we would get intense psychotherapy. Intense. What I would never do is put makeup on my son and tell him, "Yes, you are a girl, son, and let's go run a race so you can have your self-esteem." It's so important. It's more important, son, to have mentally ill people feel good about themselves in their mentally deranged world and then take all that joy from normal people. And what does this look like in real time? I'm going to show you, I think this is in Oregon. I want to show you this video. It is Oregon track meet. Now watch this. Go ahead, Logan. Please play this.
In 6 for Wilhelmina, Jaden Vandervee. In 7 for Bergen Episcopal, Abby Wilson. Out very well is Gallagher of McDaniel in lane 2. We're going to see Gallagher later on in the relays. Great knees, great drive. Gallagher, the victory here in section number 1. 25:49.
They allowed that boy to run with the girls. How does anybody think this is okay? Logan, can you do me a favor? Can you show that last clip again, but just stop it when they show the fade, the far away, like when the dude with the high knees runs by and they show the girls all running toward the finish line. Can you just stop it there? And I just want my audience to see this.
Yeah, in 6 for Wilhelmina, Jaden Vanderveen. In 7 for Bergen Episcopal, Abby Wilson. Out very well is Gallagher, McDaniel in lane 2.
This is absurd. Look at this. Oh, you can keep playing it, and when he goes and they take that shot down the...
Great knees, great drive. Gallagher, the victory here in section number 1.
Can you stop it right there? So if you remove the dude, you have 4 young women that are within fractions of a second of each other, fighting for first place, fighting for the state title. Think of that memory, seared into their minds their whole life, that I won it, or I was so close, but I tried so hard. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. Now erase it. It doesn't exist. Because there was a dude that finished seconds ahead, probably 50 yards ahead of the women. And that woman that's on the far left that won the race, she won the race. Instead of standing on top of the podium, getting her silver medal, she gets a gold. She gets a silver. And then it follows back on these other 3 poor ladies get nothing. The one gets a bronze and the other 2 get nothing. And no matter, and the young lady that won the race, maybe she set a state record. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. But it doesn't matter because the new record is some dude. Here's the thing also. The dudes don't even try to be like a woman. They're just a dude that says I'm a woman. They may put a little blush on. Look at that guy. Is that a girl? Walking down the street, you go, well, that chick's a dude. This is how mentally sick. We are sick as a nation. We are in the depths of moral decay. All of us had a mother. Many of us have sisters. We have wives. We have grandmas. A lot of us have aunts. All of us know some women. And yet we choose to destroy them. Where are the feminists? Where's the Code Pink? Where's any of these radical feminist organizations? Where are you? You don't believe what you believe. You don't believe what you say. You don't. You don't care about women. I'm witness. I'm looking at it in real time. You don't care about women. This is happening across our nation. Across our nation. I would argue, where I live in Middle America, that if some dude was running with the girls, they would be hell to pay, my friend. And let me just go one step further. If I had a daughter and your mentally deranged ass put your son's mentally deranged ass in my daughter's event, it wouldn't end well. I would beat your ass for allowing your son to get in there. And then after I beat your ass, I would stop the event and forcibly remove your son from it with other fathers and let the girls run. But because we live in a beta male world where masculinity has been almost erased, we don't have men like that. We have gutless men sitting on the sideline watching their daughters be abused. Men that their natural instinct is to protect their daughter at all cost. We raise our sons, we protect our sons, and then we begin to raise them to be men and we're much harder on them. Whereas daughters, I watch my father, I watch my brother, I watch my sisters, I watch my brother-in-laws. They caretake their daughters. And the men have allowed the mentally ill to abuse their children. You should be ashamed of yourself. What does a female collegiate athlete look like? Well, let's take a look at the very beautiful Riley Gaines, and I know she's married, so I don't know what her last name is now. Riley Gaines. Or maybe it is. I think she got married at the end of her collegiate career, so maybe it is Gaines. So I'm not disparaging her at all. I'm just saying I don't know. This is what a beautiful, beautiful female athlete looks like. Muscular, strong, determined, and she is a fighter. She has more testosterone in her body, more masculinity in her body than 90% of the males in America. Gutless males. Why? Because she's fighting for women. Fighting. You know why? Because she had to swim against this dude, Will Thomas. Can you pull this guy up, please, for me, Logan? Look at this dude. Once again, I'm going to state the obvious. They don't even try to hide the fact they're a dude. That is called a one piece with a tuck in there, meaning he's tucked his genitals. He's 6'4". He went from obscurity, I think he's in Yale, if I could be wrong. Yale, Columbia, one of those sick places. He wasn't even the top 200, I don't think. And now he's number one. And we all have to act that Will Thomas is a chick. 6'4", flat chest, with a penis and testicles, is a woman. That picture right there is the shining example of how sick we are as a nation and how gutless our men are. It's just the truth. Will Thomas is a mental patient that needs to either be taken to intensive therapy or have his ass beaten, or both. He got to change in front of those other women athletes. You know what it was 10 years ago? Not 1,000 years, 10 years ago. If a man was in a women's locker room and exposed himself, or if he was just in the locker room, men would come and beat his ass. And then the law enforcement would show up and take his bloody body with no questions asked and take him and lock him up. Now, the poor transgender freak will sue all of the boys, the men that took care of the business, and we will all go to jail. And some judge that's transgender, like the judge that got rid of or helped the illegal alien escape, now that is a dude. I don't care what you say. And if it's not she, he, they are pretty damn good at looking like a dude. And a transgender freak that has severe mental problems will now be adjudicating what's right and wrong. Do you see how this just continuously spins into a world of insanity? The Twilight Zone, the TV show, would have never, ever been able to conceive a show based off of this. Never. Never. It's so bizarre, there's no way. I have someone come on this show every week, Kim Yater, and she talks about take your power back. Man, do we need to take our power back. One way we do it is we stop giving to companies, organizations, box stores that promote this stupidity, promote this moral rot. But we do because we go to the box stores and we buy their products, we buy their memberships, and they turn around and they promote this stuff. Black Lives Matter, BLM, transgender, Planned Parenthood, on and on and on. Why continue to go do that when you have a place, patriotsmade.com, patriotsmade.com/JJ. Just go there. Look at the company. 450 products. The same products you buy at the big box stores you get that are clean, meaning no dyes that they're banning now, no metals in their lotions, no blah, blah, blah. And they're made here in America by Americans for Americans. patriotsmade.com/JJ. That is a big, that men and women's sports, that's a big deal because it all in one encompasses the absolute morality, the current state of morals in America. You have the mental illness of the LGBTQ XYZ divided by the insane sign that encompasses gender mutilation. It brings in the gutlessness, the cowardness, the impotency of the American man. It shows you how void of morality our churches have. They won't even talk about it. They won't do anything about it. It shows you how corrupt our politicians are, how corrupt our mental health is, how corrupt our healthcare is. I mean, you just go on and on and on. It's everything that we need to see and understand how bankrupt we are as a nation. And I don't say that with any joy. I'm just saying the facts. Oh, JJ, you're black pilling. Really? Okay. Are we supposed to not talk about this? We're supposed to allow our young girls and women to be abused by men. That's what you're telling me I should do? Shut up. Because the reality that I'm talking to you about is too much for you. So you just label it black pill. So what you're saying is you don't want to know the truth. You want to just live in la la land. Why doesn't just 5 random dudes from, say, Clemson join the basketball team, and they'll, even if they're average, they're better than the women. Average men are better than college women. Gone. And those 5 dudes, they don't even have a sub, just 5 dudes, and they run through the women's field. We go to the March Madness in women, and the 5 men run through it all and win. How fast does the basketball world go nuts? What about if the women's soccer team that continually loses in scrimmages to 14-year-old boys, adult women winning the gold medal, lose to 14-year-old boys consistently, not like 3-2 or 2-1 or penalty kick 1-0. No, like 9-1, 15-1, 15-0. What if 11, 8, how many people on a soccer field get that many boys and they just try out for the women's soccer team? How fast do we hear screaming? I'm waiting for it. Why don't we do it? Maybe it's something that we just do. That's to prove our point. To show you how stupid you people are. We are going into a war zone for the soul of America. And I preach this every show, and I have my sponsors because I want you to be prepared. I want you to be ready. And what does that mean, to be prepared? Well, if you're sick, if your body is ill, you're not going to be able to go to war. You just can't. So you have Pet Club 24/7, Bella Grace, Patriots Made, and one of my other sponsors that I have, and you need to be prepared, is SAT 123. And that's having connectability with a SAT phone, having a ballistic backpack, as insane as that sounds. I dropped my son off at school today. I watch him walk away with his beautiful black backpack, and it has a bulletproof vest in it, a ballistic shield. I'm happy, and at the same time, I'm disgusted. but my family's prepared. We have a generator. We have sat phones. We have Faraday bags. We're not preppers. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just being prepared to get us past day one, the first week of insanity. Or my son driving and he needs to get a hold of me and his cell phone doesn't work, or there's no cell signal, or whatever. He has a sat phone in his glove box, pulls it out. Dad, I'm on the side of the road. I need help. Son, I'm on my way. Be prepared. Go to sat123.com/JJ or call the number on the screen and just say that JJ sent me. I'm going to show you a video. And this is why Trump needs to move with more urgency. Because on the other side of the 2026 midterms, and then on the other side of 2028, when Donald Trump leaves office, if he thinks that they're going to let him just live in peace and die with his grandchildren and live in his life, he is mistaken. This is what's waiting for him if he does not take the action of arresting these traitors and setting the tone for our future of America. Please play this, Logan.
Why are there no calls for impeachment? This is unacceptable. I will not live in an authoritative country, and neither will any of these people. You can do more. I like you, and I will vote for you if you are brave and you do what we need. We need him impeached. We need him removed.
There is no doubt that this president's conduct has already exceeded any prior standard for impeachment by the United States House of Representatives. I agree with you. But as I said at the beginning, I also have no choice but to be candid with you about the situation that we face and the tools that are at our disposal. As strongly as I agree with you, ma'am. And I regret if this is an unwelcome response, but my job is to be honest with you. The only way to achieve what you want to achieve is to have a majority in the United States House of Representatives.
And if that happens, it's over. It will be absolute burn everything to the ground. That's how Democrats do it. And why shouldn't they do it? Why shouldn't they do it? Why should they alter their behavior when there's no consequences for it? They can lie. They can steal trillions of dollars, lie ad nauseum, Russiagate, the PP Steele dossier, steal elections, put people into positions of presidency that are basically the weekend at Bernie's, he's just brain dead, and then have an auto pen sign everything for him. But don't for a second think that this is the Democrats' fault. We are at the 100-day mark of Donald Trump, and we have one bill that came through the House. One. Nothing codifying Doge. Nothing. They keep voting it down. Planned Parenthood is still receiving funds from a federal government. Planned Parenthood, again, I'm going to repeat this, a organization that makes billions of dollars annually gets billions of dollars from the United States government. And why? Because the Republicans keep voting it in. What is Planned Parenthood doing now to try to recoup some of their losses from murdering babies and then selling their organs? Well, let me show you a video to kind of catch you up to speed about what the Planned Parenthood is doing with the funding from the Republicans.
Knew this was happening, and I am still flabbergasted by this. Planned Parenthood, of all companies, is quickly becoming one of the #1 providers of puberty blockers to teenagers in America.
Hey, Logan.
I guess after the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the consequential closure of Planned Parenthood abortion clinics all over the country, the company hit the drawing board and asked, how can we make up for this loss of revenue? The answer, it turns out, was pretty simple. And as a result, to date, almost 12,000 teenagers teenagers aged 12 to 17 have been treated, I hate even using that word, with puberty blockers or pro-trans counseling by Planned Parenthood. More often than not, with zero history of gender dysphoria and no actual medical diagnostic process. Stories of detransitioners like Helena Kirshner are starting to expose just how bad Planned Parenthood's counseling actually is. This beautiful young woman walked into a Planned Parenthood clinic, and in less than an hour, she was given 4 times the typical starting dose of testosterone hormone replacement therapy by a nurse practitioner. Less than an hour. Pat Cattinson, another young woman, expected that she would have to go through some sort of diagnostic process, but instead called a doctor from Planned Parenthood for 30 minutes on the phone and was given a prescription for testosterone. 30 minutes. When you also consider that Planned Parenthood is probably the #1 author of sex ed curriculum in our country today, influencing millions upon millions of young men and women in conversations about gender identity at school every day. How are people not realizing this is literally just a pyramid scheme to indoctrinate kids into thinking I was born in the wrong body, to call these clinics on the phone for half an hour, and to be given prescriptions of these drugs from Planned Parenthood themselves? Reminder, by the way, that this organization receives $700 million from the United States government, taxpayer money, every single year. Turns out you can destroy the family in a whole lot more ways than just abortion. And this organization is committed to figuring out how to do it.
And our Republican Party is doing it. Speaker Johnson, why don't you put a bill out saying we're defunding it? You won't, because you're compromised, just like all the other Republicans are. We do not live in a representative form of government. It's obvious. We're brutalizing our children. Understand, hundreds of thousands, millions of children in the next decade are going to wake up one day, and they're going to wake up all at the same day. I'm promising you. It's just the numbers speak for it. They're going to wake up and they're going to see a body, their body, mutilated. They're going to have a sex drive that we all have with no way to have sex. And it's going to make them mad, like mentally mad, psychotically mad. And they're going to realize the people that were supposed to be their guardians, the people that take care of them, allowed this to happen. America, you are in a moral rot. We have to fight our way out of it just to get back to normal. That's sad.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com.
All right, welcome to Dr. John and Brooke. It is April the 28th, 2025. So today, once again, we're going to talk about the messenger RNA COVID vaccines and then COVID in general. You know, what COVID-19 was a bioweapon. You know, it was made in a man-made lab in the Wuhan lab, and it was released from there. Now, I don't know if anybody knows at this point, was it purposely released or accidental? I don't know if we'll ever know that, but it would appear that it was released on purpose and, of course, spread throughout the world, really. And it could have been released from multiple spots. But bottom line, it was engineered in a lab through gain-of-function research. It started in the United States probably in the late 90s, and then in probably around 2014 is when it was shipped over to the Wuhan lab. And it was a direct result of the United States government, our Department of Defense, DARPA, and many other people, organizations, etc. And so we know that at this point. We know that it was not something that came from nature, as Dr. Fauci and his friends propagated that story. They put out publications that and just on and on. But we know that the evidence is there that it was in fact engineered, and it's a bioweapon, and it causes injury. You know, many people did get sick, but also the lasting results that certainly if people continue to get vaccinated, or I'm sorry, continue to get COVID, then they were developing what we call long COVID. Now, the medical community really doesn't have a problem recognizing long COVID. A matter of fact, they try to lump everything into long COVID. For example, we know that the mRNA COVID vaccines cause injury. And these injuries that's being caused, the medical community just lumps that together as long COVID. They say they deny any evidence that these shots can cause problems, but they say, well, the person had COVID. They have long COVID. And so we want to look at this a little closer. There's studies coming out. We know that Kennedy, just last week, one of his big pushes is to talk about taking these COVID vaccines off the childhood vaccine schedule. And that's huge because, that was ultimately the push. Because if you could put something, give it to children, then it's safe, right? I mean, give it to pregnant women, then that's what it appears to be. It appears to be safe. And so Kennedy is fighting that fight slowly but surely. And I believe that at some point, that discussion will heighten. But right now, everything seems to be on autism and the measles vaccines and childhood vaccines in general. But the push, Kennedy is going forward with it, and we must keep him in our prayers because this is a fight that if he can get the COVID vaccines off the childhood schedule due to safety reasons, then everything will turn around and there'll be more open discussion. So with that, Brooke, you want to say something there, and then we're going to watch a short video.
Yes, the reason people need to understand why they had such a hard push to put these on the childhood schedule. And it's because of the protection from liability. When something is on the childhood schedule, keep in mind these shots were never fully FDA authorized. They went through a back door. They came in under emergency use. They gave one shot that they did approval for emergency use, and then they actually gave a different shot, and then they sneaked it in and put it under the childhood schedule in order for it to be covered from all liability. And so that's really the main reason, besides, the harms that they're going to cause. I mean, anyone that would advocate for these to be put on there, I feel like, they must have nefarious motivations because they are so clearly harmful and dangerous.
Yeah, so the COVID virus itself is a bioweapon, and the vaccine's a bioweapon. Both developed really with the help of the United States government, DARPA. Moderna, of course, was in there starting in about 2010 with the development of the vaccines. But both of them, it was bioweapons. Both of these injure people, and so let's watch this video. This is Nicholas Holzer. How do you pronounce his name, Brooke?
I believe it's Holzer.
Holzer, okay, with the McCullough Foundation. He's an epidemiologist. And so let's watch this video here. He's talking about the harms from the COVID vaccines.
At the McCullough Foundation, we have conducted over 20 scientific studies, all published in the peer-reviewed literature now, exposing the harms of these shots. And I'll go over some of the most glaring ones. And so one of our studies, a systematic review of autopsy findings and deaths after COVID-19 vaccination, actually proved a causal link between these mRNA shots and death. And so what Brazil's doing, they're putting these kids at risk of death. A study by Alessandria and colleagues found a 37% life expectancy reduction in those who received 2 or more doses. And so they're reducing the life expectancy of these kids. And it's just an absolute disaster. We now know a few recent studies that are absolutely shocking. So we have the first and we have the second largest COVID-19 vaccine safety studies ever conducted. The first one, 99 million people in it, they found 500% increased risks of myocarditis, about 300% increased risks of spinal cord inflammation. And then we have Guillain-Barré syndrome in that study. So that study proved it wasn't safe for human use. And then we have last week, the second largest study with 85 million people in it just came out. They found 300% increased risks of heart attacks, strokes, arrhythmias, and coronary artery disease. And then we had another study last week that came out that showed people with strokes who got mRNA shots are producing spike protein in their cerebral arteries, so in their brains, for up to 17 months. Or that's at least how long it looked. And so we have people now producing spike in their vital organs, reducing their life expectancy, risking death, risking cardiovascular damage, and it's absolutely dangerous. It's absolutely terrible that they're giving these to children.
So the McCullough Foundation, he reports that they've done over 20 studies, and these studies are with many millions of people looking at the data. One study, 99 million people, the other 85 million. And what they're finding is things like, of course, myocarditis and then neurological problems and acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. And that's basically an inflammation of not only the central nervous system, but also the peripheral nervous system. And then we see the strokes with the cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. That's basically strokes, and Guillain-Barré syndrome. And so you have to ask yourself, why are these studies not being talked about openly? And once again, the other side, they're trying to disengage with any sort of studies that would show light that these could be injurious. So, Brooke, what do you? What's your thoughts on that?
I really feel like that. There's a lot of really good hearted medical professionals across the country that have been betrayed, and their pride, their desire in their own heart to not cause harm, I think leads them into a place of denial, to where they just cannot embrace the fact they took these themselves. They pressured their patients to take them. They probably gave them to their own family members, and it's just too painful. It's too shameful. It's to receive the liability back on themselves for allowing this harm to be perpetrated onto their family and patients. It's just too much for them to take. I've seen Dr. McCullough talk about, when the doctors were promoting cigarettes for health, it was hard for them to say, oh no, they're not good for you. It's a change in paradigm, and people that are vested in this story of safe and effective are going to have a very difficult time disengaging from that process.
Yeah, and that's very true. I mean, many doctors out there took these shots themselves. They gave it to their family and their patients, and they saw. I believe many of them, their eyes are opened. Not only did many of them get injured themselves, but they saw their family and patients being injured. And because the word that I'm hearing